Hello and welcome again. This is James Henderson, president of the Florida Speakers Association, and I am honored to have Cindy Montgenie with me today, and we're going to get real deep today under the speaker spotlight. Cindy, how you doing today?
Thank you, James, for having me. It's a pleasure, and I'm doing well.
Awesome.
Thank
Notice
you.
I got the memo. We wore the right colors today, right? So we matched, so it's all good. It's
Yeah,
really
and just for the audience, we didn't coordinate anything. It just happened, which is awesome, right?
so here's what I'm going to tell people first, and then I'm going to ask you a question. We've been trying to get Cindy on our board and to do stuff for us for years, but she's so busy doing other stuff that she always has to say no, regrettably. But we're going to keep asking till she says yes. So when people say, why don't you get Cindy on your board? And I always say, well, she just says no. Tell me about your business, all the stuff you've got going on, and why you always tell me no.
Great question. So yes, I'm always telling you no, because it's true. I have my business, and as you know, this is quite demanding when you have your own business and you are not on a company. But also, this is something that I was doing before when I was in corporate. I always love to have like different activities in my life. So there is a business part. There is also the ministry part, super involved in my church. And sometimes it seems like it's like a kind of half-time, part-time job without pay, of course, because it's all volunteer work. And also in the community and also in causes. So for this reason, for example, at this moment, I'm the co-president of a women association. So it's a leadership role, board as being, so for this reason, I cannot commit to the to FSA. So this is something that for me are always been important, to have like different activities around your life so you could grow in different areas. In terms of my business, so I'm a speaker, I'm a leadership coach and leadership trainer, and my platform is the future of work.
Okay, so we're going to go a little bit deeper, all right? Because you spent quite a bit of time working in IT in a corporate environment. Tell everybody a little bit about how that's shaped your business now, and then kind of how you're transitioning your business away from that and what you're going to do in the future.
Yes, so I spent 20 years. I started like super young in the tech industry. I was not in an IT role, but I was in the tech industry. I was working for HP. So it's a male-dominated industry. I had this kind of characteristic that I'm French by the accent and the last name, but I spent most of my career in Latin America. So working for a US company, US corporate culture with Latin America. So really a male-dominated environment, but with the opportunity to really touch different areas of the company, sales, marketing, supply chain, manufacturing. So it was like 20 years, but super rich and not focused in an area. How this is helping me in my business, I started my business 3 years ago. And at this moment, the future of work was not so real for people. Now with COVID, everybody is awakened. But for me, it was already something that I wanted, like to work with business leaders and their team, is to adapt faster through change and disruption. Because when you work in a tech company, and a global tech company, in an iconic company, and I was in the consumer market, mainly in retail, you're always changing. There is always disruptions. When you work with Latin America, unfortunately, this is awesome. I love it. But you have like ups and downs, because sometimes you could have like a major devaluation, and from one day to another, your main market now is no longer a market, or you could have a crisis like in Venezuela. So I've been really formed and shaped and get strategy and the mindset to really adapt, rebound, reshape through change and disruptions. And this is this that I bring now to my clients.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question. So I'm just making a guess here. You're at least trilingual, right?
Yeah.
So you at
So
least speak French, English, and Spanish.
in Spanish. And in
And what
order to
else?
like now, no, that's it. And I think like
Okay.
now Spanish is number one, French is number two, and English is number three.
So Spanish is number one, right?
Yes, because now it's been like more than 20 years. Because like for me, like Miami is like Latin America. I speak almost like my everyday in Spanish. And before Miami, I've been living in Mexico, been living in Venezuela. So it's been, yes, my Latin America journey started in 96. So it's been a long time.
So tell me this, like now, what percentage of your business and what percentage of your contacts and clients are in South America, and what percentage are in like the US?
I would say is maybe 60, 70 Latin America and 30, 40 US.
Okay.
Because I still have my main network is Latin America, but I've been focusing in growing the pie of US also. So,
Okay.
and this is my goal is to get like 50-50.
Okay, great. Which brings me kind of to another question. Because you deal very heavily in change and how to manage change and how to manage people through change, right? So how do you see differences in your Latin American clients and versus your American clients? For example, is one of those groups of clients either or more are they more easily adaptable to change and one less adaptable to change? Is there one of those markets that changes more often and more dramatically than the other? So how do you kind of balance the difference between the change that happens in the U.S. companies that you deal with versus the change that happens in the South American companies that you deal with?
I don't see at this moment a lot of difference between the culture. Is more between the size of the company.
Oh, okay.
Because, for example, when I work with like global corporation in the US or Latin America, things that are already embedded in the culture. So, for example, the culture is the same in Latin America or in the US, and they are already innovative and they are already leading change. So, with those companies, my focus, part of the Future of Work platform for any company, is to have diversity leadership, to be innovative. And this is what I work with them. So both in the US or Latin America, they already bought the idea and they are leading the change and they are shaping the future. What I see differences in when you go with mid-sized company, where some of them are still not maybe buying the idea of getting more agile, more innovative. And definitely in Latin America, there is more challenges for women and women in leadership compared to the US. There is like more work to do in this area.
Okay. Now, you and I had a conversation last week, and you discussed a little bit about, because you're doing some work with, it's called the Women's Conference, right? You're doing some work with that. And so why don't you expound on that a little bit about, and how you are working with and helping women and how that is part of not just your business, but your overall portfolio of the things that you do.
Yes, so it's one of my pillars in my company to reduce the diversity leadership gap. Especially I'm focusing because you cannot do everything in like gender and race. For my experience as a Black woman in the tech industry. And I do it with this leadership development program, but also outside because I'm the co-president of a women association where the main goal is to reduce the financial gap between men and women. So the main point in both cases, like with this organization or with my job, is really to give women the tools to be ready to speak up. For example, I have one program is like speak up and move up, and to position themselves for like opportunities of higher leadership positions.
That's awesome. Now, so we're going to go to step 3. We're going to go to phase 3. And you and I had a lot of conversation about this last week as well. How are you using your skills and your platform to do some of the things that you want to do from more of a spiritual platform? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes. So at this moment, I'm really involved in terms of ministry rise, but it's a lot about empowering people. So there is a lot of healing. I am dealing sometimes with women who went through really tough abuse. So there is a whole process of restoration. This is a big part of what I do. There is also part of really helping people to grow into their spiritual life, and getting like more strong in the Bible. I'm a Christian, and in their prayer life, and really in their service, and really developing their gift. So we're also part of what I do, and I serve in different ministries in the church. And what I want, and this is what we were talking last week, I want now to find ways to bridge between the spiritual and, let's say, like the business world. Because at this moment, I'm seeing like there is, of course, like, and for me, like my foundation is really my faith. My faith is my anchor. And I think like this is the priority, but it's not only like your faith. You need, again, to be like a whole human being. And for this reason, I'm looking for ways to bring some tools that I've developed from my corporate experience to equip people of faith so they could grow in both business and career and faith.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, I'm going to ask you one more question about that, because we have in our academy right now, we have at least 2 that are very specific about their message that they're trying to develop through the Florida Association's Connie Gordon Speakers Academy. They're very specific that they want to develop a message that has to do with spiritual leadership, right? So if there's one piece of advice that you could give them as they kind of work and develop that, or anyone else who may watch, what piece of advice would you give them when it comes to developing, and some people, I don't really like to call it that, but some people call it the spiritual marketplace, right? But what advice would you give them starting out working on that process and that project?
I think like it's a lot about relationship, because like the spiritual world, like any faith, is kind of its own world together. So it's like for any market to understand what is their message and to start developing those relationships within the faith community so they could have a platform to deliver their message. And it's for what I've seen, like this is like really key. And of course, there is the whole social media now for consumer when you need like to level up your game. But I've seen like a faster way is like to leverage. So if you have already relationship with a faith-based organization, could be a church, could be a nonprofit, and they give you access to the member, this is going to fast track your growth. So for this reason, relationships are critical.
Okay, awesome. That's good stuff. Now we're gonna have some fun here real quick, because you are always so serious. You're always beautiful. You're always dressed really nice, if everything, and you're always so serious. What do you do for fun? I know you're busy all the time, but tell us something that we should know about you and how you just like, if you're just going to let loose and have a good time, what's fun for you, Cindy?
What's fun for me, like really, I'm not like super adventurous or crazy. Like I took a lot of risk in my life, in my career, but I don't do crazy stuff or like jumping out of a plane. No, I will move. I moved to really country when I was like 22 by myself, living in Mexico, then living in Venezuela, then quitting a super well-paid job to launch my career. So I've been doing like really big bets with my life. And at some point, for example, when I went through a tough time, I asked for demotion. And so far, I didn't find a lot of people who ask for emotion. I let pass promotion. So I'm super adventurous. I take a lot of risk, business and personal life, but I don't do like those crazy stuff of like jumping out of a plane. So like for me, fun, it's really spend time with people. So simple going out to restaurant or movie or reading before COVID, traveling, but like nothing like super crazy.
Well, see, when I interviewed Fabio, I found out that Fabio likes to go out to the karaoke bars and impersonate Elvis of all things. See, I thought maybe I was going to get something like that from you.
You don't want to hear me sing. You don't want to. I don't sing. I don't dance. No, really is not my strength. So there is like nothing super like what might be strength for people like a kind of thing that people would not imagine. At some point when I was living in Venezuela, and I was already working for HP, but I decided to take a certification, and I was like really a certified massagist. So for people
Really?
kind of doesn't make sense like working in corporate, because I was like super impressed by the power of healing of massages. So
Right.
I decided like to train and to be one. I never opened an office. It was like more for me and to learn the technique and to do it on my friends. So this is kind of unusual for people, but no crazy stuff in my life.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's change gears just a little bit. You've been in FSA for a little while, and like I said, I've told everybody we've been trying to get you to get involved. But what is it about FSA? What do you get from FSA and NSA? What do you get from being involved in FSA and NSA that helps you with your business? Because at the end of the year or at the start of the year, depending on how you look at it, you have to give them another check that says, hey, I want to be a member. I want to be a part of this.
Mhm.
Why do you continue to do that?
So for me, I spent like 20 years in corporate America, and really as a speaker, trainer, coach, it's been 3 years. So it's still like new. And for me, having access to NSA, FSA is having access to expert, because like really being a speaker and a coach and this is a business, and there is like a learning curve that you need to understand and to learn. And for me, like this is the riches that I find is having access to people who are already well ahead of me with a ton of experience, so I could learn and fast track my own journey. So
Okay.
this is that part of, and the connection, right? To meet people and to learn from people who already made it.
Absolutely. So from start to finish, and I've been listening to you. So from start to finish, you really have had a theme. And although you didn't specifically say it in every piece, you have a theme that is relationships, right?
Yes.
You've kind of brought that over and over again. So kind of as we close, why don't you tell us a little bit about, just give us a nugget about relationships and why those relationships are important.
Yeah, because I think like everything that we need, that you need, that I need, that someone else need, is always in the hands of someone else, right? So this is someone who's going to open a door for you, to give you a contract, to give you. So I think like for me, it's really the basis of everything. Like business is relationship, life is relationship. So I'm really careful and intentional in nurturing relationship, but also always building new relationship. And this is something that I mention a lot, especially as a future of work expert. There is like the whole trend of automatization and jobs who are going to be like replaced by robots. So how people are going to stay like marketable and relevant. And one of the way is to be like totally human and to have like these relationships. So I always tell people, be sure to build relationship that will shape your future and not repeat your history.
Ooh, good.
because this is also something that is really a core of mine, even if I don't have like this crazy kind of hobbies, but really I've been always reinventing myself, taking like big risk personally and professional. And a lot of people are playing like super safe. So they may be jumping out of plane, but they're like safe in their business and their life. And at this moment, with the trend and how the world is going, you need to be always reinventing yourself.
Right.
And relationships are key in the phase of reinvention. So yes, you have like a good eye, James. You spotted.
Well, because in a lot of ways, that's what I deal with when I deal with hospitality issues. I talk to people about the difference between service and hospitality, right? Service is transactional. Service is, I've got something, you want something, you come and get that something for me, and we exchange something for it. Hospitality is, I still have that something, you still want that something, but hospitality is, we develop a win-win, we develop a collegial togetherness that not only will allow me to make that transaction this time, but will allow you to want to come back and make that transaction with me the next time, even if whatever it is that I'm selling is 2 pennies more, because we have a relationship, right? And we've developed that, right? And through building that relationship, I now know more about not just you who wants to buy whatever it is I have to sell, but I know more about all of the people that want to buy what I have to sell. Therefore, through that relationship, I can then, the word that you used earlier, I can leverage that relationship to be able to reach out to other people, because we always refer and we always, give great feedback for people that we like.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And some people say, I've got a great product and I don't care if they like me. And those people will never be as successful as they could be.
And in the marketplace, even if at this moment we have LinkedIn, you have like all those platforms, it's still proven like 80% of the position, you're getting access to them through your network. They are not posted, they are not in LinkedIn. So for this reason, really like relationship in your life. And I think like at this moment with the whole COVID things and being like isolated, this is having like a toll on us personally in our personal relationship. But even in business, like really life and business are all about relationship. Like relationship is access to what you aspire for.
Right. Awesome. Well, people are going to ask you, they're going to be like, well, what's your relationship with James Henderson, the president of FSA? He goes, we got a crazy relationship because he just keeps asking me to come help. He keeps asking me to work. He keeps asking me to do stuff. Tell him to leave me alone. That's what kind of relationship we have. No, hey, it was great to have you. It's great to chat with you today. And I think that people are going to be enlightened on who you are and what type of business that you have. I think they're going to be upset that you don't want to jump out of a plane, but I think they're going to be enlightened anyway about what you do. I've really enjoyed spending some time with you.
I have a lot of admiration for people who do, because like for me, only looking at this, I have my heart racing. So for me, like this is great to have like this courage to do it, but I understand like, no, this is not for me. I have a great friend of mine, like she do all those things and she tried like to pull me, and it's like, no, I don't, this is on me, but I have a lot of admiration for all of those who do it.
Awesome. Cindy, thank you. And for those of you who are watching, stay tuned. We've been trying to come out with a new speaker spotlight every Wednesday. We substituted it a couple of Wednesdays, but next Wednesday, we're going to come out with another speaker spotlight. I've got some great people on tap. Some of them aren't even answering my calls because they don't even want to talk to me, Cindy. Can you believe that? But we'll be back because we want to let people know who the members of the Florida Speakers Association are and how spectacular all of them are and all of their businesses are and how they can help you, and we can figure out how we can help each other. So until we see you again on another Speaker Spotlight, FSA, I love you, and we're out.